Okay.
One.
Greetings, beautiful people. Hi from London. I'm Deelee Dube, as you may all probably know now. And it's a wonderful pleasure to be here this evening, to be doing this. And I just want to start by thanking Gail Boyd for inviting me on this amazing platform where I have the opportunity, amongst others, to speak and talk and say what's on my mind. I think it's brilliant. So I'm here in London, where I was born and raised, and right now it's kind of late. It's about 10 p.m. But I know there are a lot of night owls out there like myself who don't get too bothered about late timings or late hours. So I'm going to use this opportunity, this space, this platform to talk about my story, my journey, my experience in jazz as a jazz vocalist and songwriter. And it's a long story, but if I take myself way back to the beginning, I am a twin. And as I said before, I was born and raised in London. Southeast London to be precise, and grew up with my twin brother in Rotherhithe, or Bermondsey as it's known now. And with my twin brother, we used to kind of engage in a lot of musical activity, you know, as kids do, a lot of call and response patterns, and he would rap and I would sing. And this was our thing. This is what we do. Most of the time, even at school in a playground, we would just get together and entertain our friends. And we grew up doing that. And I always had a very strong kind of sense of purpose in music. My twin brother and I always knew that music was our thing, you know, and that's the main reason why we engaged in doing so many musical performances and activities. And I have so many fond memories of just performing with my twin brother at school. And I just remember one really prominent memory was I think this has got to have been one of the first performances we did together as children. And it was at school, a school assembly in front of the class, the entire class. And the teacher told us to stand in front of everyone and sing a song. So we both did that. And I recall the song that we sang was a Stevie Wonder song. And it was I Just Called to Say I Love You. And I just remember this overwhelming feeling of joy, you know, mainly because I had this opportunity to sing in front of an audience, but just also having my twin brother by my side brought me a great deal of comfort and confidence as well. So that's my earliest memory, performing in front of an audience. At this point, obviously, I was aged around 7 or 8. I didn't know what my real purpose or path would be. Of course, at that age, you're not really sure. But I, as I said before, always knew that my path or my aim in life was to do something creative. So, you know, I recall also just joining competitions, and another early memory was when I was on a holiday in Pontins, which is in the UK, It's like a holiday destination where families go to, and they kind of put on this dance competition, and I somehow mustered up the courage to get up there onto the stage. And they kind of paired me up with my twin brother and a few other kids. I think I was around 11 at this time, and I just danced my socks off, and so did my twin brother, and so did the three other kids or four other kids, and suddenly, one by one, those other few kids got eliminated, and I just found myself on stage with my twin brother. So it was just me and my twin brother competing against each other. And it was the weirdest feeling because, you know, I'm thinking, hold on a second, it's just you and you're my twin brother. If I win, you win, right? So it was a bit strange in that regard. However, I ended up winning that dance competition, and I've got the award right here. So this was the award that I won, and you can see it says Pontins there. And that was my first award for a dance competition. And it took me by surprise. And the amount of guilt that I felt as a twin, was just incredible. That I actually turned around to my twin brother and said, you know what, this is not just mine, this is yours too. He got over it anyway, and it was all good in the end. But these are some of my earliest memories of entertaining and performing and engaging in competitions as such. I then went on to just continue, I guess, pursuing creative activities. And by the time I was around, let's say, 14, maybe 13, I realized that I had a real knack for writing. And I started just writing and writing and writing endlessly. So much stuff on my mind as a young teenager. And I wrote endless amounts of poems and written stuff. And at school, I recall one of the teachers took me aside and said, look, I can see you have a real flair for literature, writing and singing and creative activity. I want to work with you. So I agreed. And, from that moment onwards, that teacher, his name was Mr. Absalom. And from that moment onwards, to have somebody believe in me in that way did a great amount of benefit to my confidence. It really built me up. And from that moment onwards, I just blossomed. I remember him entering me for numerous amounts of school competitions, school assembly shows, and by this time, as I said, I was about 14, going on 15, and I was just winning all the way through, and it was amazing because, as I said, it just really built me up, and it really did wonders to my confidence. So to have someone believe in you, even if it's just one person, can really take a person a long way. I remember also just at the age of 16, yeah, it was not 1996. Gosh, it's crazy because this sounds like yonks ago, but to me, it almost feels like just yesterday because it's such a prominent memory. I remember joining what was called the Black Mentoring Scheme. And I had this wonderful, wonderful mentor who took me on board. And her name was Sharon Lewis. She was like an earth angel, really, because I was taken under her wing, and she was taking care of my needs. I mean, artistically, she would take me to see musicals, concerts, all sorts of educational stuff. And I remember one evening, she said, I'm going to take you to see this musical called Mama, I Want to Sing. And I thought, oh, well, that sounds interesting. So we went to the Cambridge Theatre in London. And I saw this musical and I was completely awestruck, just completely taken by the theme, the entire narrative of the musical itself, and how much it really closely resonated to my own personal needs and dreams and goals. It just so happened that Shaka Khan happened to be one of the leading cast members of the musical, and she was absolutely stunning, just amazing. After that show, after it ended, my mentor turned around to me and said, "Would you like to go and meet Shaka Khan backstage?" And I said, "Are you serious? Are you for real?" I mean, we got to think that this is a 15-year-old me, and I'm like shaking in my boots. In fact, I wasn't that nervous, but I was taken aback. Let's put it that way. And I I went along with it. So we went backstage, round to the back of the theatre, and there she was, just divine, and her presence was just awesome. And I approached her, and as I approached her, she was so, I remember so well, she was so welcoming and very, very open. And I just introduced myself and I said, "Hi, Shaka." Little me, "Hi, Shaka." And she's like, "Hey, girl." And I was like, I really, really enjoyed the show. That was just amazing, fabulous, amazing show. Um, it just so happens that the theme, the narrative actually resonates and I can really relate to it. And I'm in a similar situation. I'm just like 15 years old, and I'm just wondering if you could just give me some advice. What would you advise somebody in such a situation? I want to sing, I want to do that too. I have these goals and dreams. What do you think? And she gave me, I think, the most simplest words, but the most I think they were very powerful. That's the word. The way in which she said it, it was powerful, and it was simple and straight to the point and direct. She just looked me in the eye and she said, "Girl, you got to keep on going. You got to keep on. Don't stop. You keep on going." And I stopped in my tracks. And up to this day, those words stuck. They stayed with me. Those words, they just stayed in my heart and mind. And from that moment onwards, I was unstoppable. So after meeting Shaka, I mean, I was on a roll. And, this is London. You've got to admit, everybody comes to London. It's a capital. So, after that, I wound up meeting Michael Jackson. And I mean, on this occasion, meeting Michael, I mean, it was out of this world. I wasn't nervous. I wasn't scared. I was pretty calm. I was amongst others, but there was direct eye contact. There was a clear and happy hello from Michael and a smile and everything. And there's me, a huge diehard Michael Jackson fan. And I met my idol. So he signed my photograph and gave me a smile and shook his head. And that was it for me. That was like, okay, mission accomplished. I can go home now. But no, really, it was a big deal for me, really a real milestone meeting these two prominent figures. And I I think by this time, I was about 17. I was trying to decide what to do. academically. And I decided that I wanted to take an academic path. So I decided to enroll at the Brit School of Performing Arts in South London. And I auditioned and I got in, you know. But I must say that prior to enrolling at the Brit School, I was just 17. I had put in the work and I really prepared myself to ensure that I was fit for the bill. I basically started attending weekend school, Saturday school, where I had an opportunity to mix with other fellow novices, musicians, and I got to really hone my craft, work on my voice, work on my singing skills, my songwriting skills, and it was a right move. It definitely, without a doubt, it was a right move because it prepared me. It prepared me. It contributed towards building up my confidence that I so very much needed. So by the time I enrolled at the Brit School, I had all this bubbling up of energy. I was ready to go. I kind of propelled myself in that direction and geared myself in that path to the point that I went to audition and I gave it all I had. Every little drop of energy and creative power I had in me, I gave in that audition, and I got in. I got in. So that was good. So I was there at the Brit School for until I was 19, I think. So something like 2.5, 3 years. And what an experience, the Brit School, I can't say enough about it, really. It's the perfect place for novices, those who want to hone their craft, nurture their creative skills, and just build up an understanding and knowledge of the industry itself, because you do need to be very much well versed within the industry as well. You need to understand what it's about. That's absolutely crucial. And it did just that. Of course, there was the academic side as well, where I worked hard, and I'm very academic. I'm a scholar. I'm very much into studying and reading, a bit of a nerd to an extent. However, I combined my skills and I balanced my abilities, and I got through, and I graduated from the Brit School, and with flying colours. And it was great. I enjoyed being there. I enjoyed meeting my cohort and engaging and working with my cohort, and the collaborative process of working together and kind of knocking heads together and combining ideas was absolutely crucial towards my growth as an artist. So I would say that that's another imperative when it comes to honing your craft, learning how to collaborate, learning how to engage and interact with others in a creative setting and mindset on stage and behind the scenes. It all counts. So the Brit School was an amazing space for that too. I went on from studying at the Brit School to actually pursuing my passion in fine art. And that was also an interesting experience, because I spent most of my time actually kind of focusing on the A level, which it was an A level, 1 year A level, which is a year course, intense course in fine art. And I got to hone my craft in fine art, and created a lot of beautiful pieces, and learned about fine art itself and graphic design. So that's just another kind of dimension or aspect to my creative abilities. But I kind of see art and music as almost one and the same. And it's interesting because when I'm on stage, performing, a lot of the time in my mind's eye, I've got this, let's say, canvas, a blank canvas. And as I'm delivering vocally, I'm painting in this mind of mine. I'm painting on this canvas with different colors and hues and shades and brushstrokes. And by the time I finished performing or delivering that piece or that song, that canvas in my mind's eye is also just as complete. So this is just how my mind works. And who knows, perhaps it's the same for others who combine art, fine art, and music and singing and performing. But that's how it works for me, combining the two. So I'm always using my imagination, and bursts of colors come through as a result. And it works wonders for me anyway. So what I wanted to show you actually was the program. I forgot to mention this. This is the program from Mama I Want to Sing, as you can see. Still got it to this day. And as you can see, it's amazing. Shaka Khan, I'll never forget that moment, meeting her, So I would say that was probably one of the most important, most prominent moments in my trajectory. That will never go away. Those words have really propelled me in my career. I'm just wondering, I should have mentioned, there's a comment box here, guys. So please feel free to drop your comments and say hello. I don't want you to feel like I'm leaving you out. So please drop a hello. Any questions you might have, I'm right here ready to answer your questions. I'll continue by saying that you probably know that I am also the first British recipient and winner of the Sarah Vaughan International Jazz Vocal Competition, which takes place annually in Newark, New Jersey, at the NJ PAC. And in 2016, I took a journey to Newark for the very first time. And it was an amazing, out of this world experience. I, prior to that, going back to the whole notion of preparation, I found myself in 2014, walking into Ronnie Scott's jazz club and having a meeting with the host for the acoustic jazz lounge upstairs, Renato Diello, who is a great tenor saxophonist from Italy who resides in London. And he was running the acoustic jazz lounge upstairs, and we got talking and decided to get me on board. And to cut a long story short, I became resident singer of the acoustic jazz lounge. That went on for 4 or 5 years. So within that time, from 2014, late 2014 to 2016, I had this opportunity to hone my craft, really hone my craft in jazz, because prior to that, I kind of knew, as you know, that my path was in music. I spent some time really trying to find myself, really find my authentic voice in music, because of course we always start out by imitating and copying sounds, which is a very natural thing to do. However, came to a point where I stopped in my tracks and realized, but where is my voice? Who am I? That was also coupled with a huge amount of unfortunate events surrounding my personal life, to where I lost my twin brother in 2004. Sadly, he passed away suddenly. natural causes, but it was a huge tragedy. So I became very sort of disorientated as a result, as a twin, having to find or re-find my identity, reorganize my senses and find my voice again as a lone twin. So I went on this path of searching and searching, really not just searching for my true identity as a creative, as an artist, but also as a vocalist, as an individual. And I just suddenly found myself listening to jazz, of course, also thanks to friends who kept on coaxing me and encouraging me to do jazz, to engage in jazz, to listen to more jazz. And I remember this was as far back as in my 20s. I remember being in Madrid one day with a friend of mine who was a flautist, and he was doing a street gig, and he asked me to get in on the gig, and so I did. And I wound up singing Summertime. And this was just outside the palace in, I think I can't remember exactly where it was, but it was in Madrid, just outside the palace in the plaza. And we had this huge crowd just listening, and the applause was just magnificent. And I just realized that this is something I have to pursue. Prior to that, I was just like any other young, early 20s individual. I was listening to Mariah Carey. Whitney Houston was a huge influence, and Sade, and a lot of soul and great soul and R&B, which was a huge part of my upbringing as well. However, I realized that this was it. And at the same time, I happened to be working in a job at the flagship store of a Virgin Megastore in Tottenham Court Road, which is no longer there now. But I was so fortunate, placed in a very good position, because I was in charge of the world music, jazz, and classical departments. So I had this opportunity to really sift through a lot of music, and I really did. It was heaven for me. So I learned a lot about world music whilst also studying my degree in music. I learned a great deal about world music. I also learned about South African and Zimbabwean music, which was good for me, and that's a whole other story that I'll have to go into detail another time. But, because the connection which leads to my father, my patrilineal connection, obviously coming from a musical family on my father's side as well. So going back to working at Virgin Megastore and studying my music degree, I realized that jazz was the path. So from that moment onwards, I was just really doing a whole lot of jazz gigs and grabbing every single possible gig I could get to get my voice out there as a jazz artist, and developing my craft. So jump back forward to Ronnie Scott's Jazz Club, Acoustic Jazz Lounge. I obviously had this preparation prior to being at the Acoustic Jazz Lounge, and I was very much well versed. At the same time, I was studying my master's in voice studies at the Royal Central School of Speech and Drama. And I ended up entering the Sarah Vaughan competition and winning. So that's a very, very kind of cut down sort of version of events, but that's pretty much what happened. I've been rambling on, I can't believe it, for 30 minutes. It feels like it's just been a minute, but I've really enjoyed this, folks, and I hope you've enjoyed my story. Please keep an eye out. You can keep in touch and follow me on social media, Deelee Dube Music. You'll see my website just scrolling along the bottom of the screen as well, maybe, deeleedube.com. Hopefully this year will be a great year. I released my album Trying Times back in 2020, which I'm sure you might know won an award for the Mzansi Jazz Awards, which was the best international jazz collaboration. As you can see, I have so much to share, but limited time. But I just want to send out love to you all and hope for better days, which I believe we're on. Hopefully, we're on track to better days now. So I just want to wish you all much love and thank you for joining me today. I've really enjoyed this. I still have so much to share, but perhaps next time, keep an eye out and please keep in touch. If anyone has any questions, there's still time, maybe not. Otherwise, I'll catch you on the other side. And yeah, thank you very much for joining me. Thank you.